It's time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
Hi, my friends. What a great day in Pennsylvania today is. Why? We're here at Jeansville. And for those of you who live in northeastern Pennsylvania, and for those of you who are listening to this in the state of Pennsylvania, fire here happened mined about 40 years ago. Now the problem is this fire could have spread, and it could have been very devastating for the city of Hazleton and many surrounding areas. Atlantic Carbon comes into the picture, and with the help of Congressman Barletta and Senator Yudichak and Representative C.O.O, we're able to put together a team and a concerted effort from a company that is concerned about the environment, concerned about employees, and concerned about the welfare of the greater Commonwealth. I'm Sam Lesante. Thanks for joining us on the Sam Lesante Show. Today I want to talk to the CEO, Adam Wilson, no stranger to our Sam Lesante Show, and George Roskos, who is the COO, and again, no stranger to the Sam Lesante Show, talk about their involvement here. But you'll hear in this show why this is such a great thing for the state of Pennsylvania, where it saved you folks, saved you millions of dollars in taxpayers. So let me get right to the big man himself, CEO. He was born in Hazleton, but he has
West Hazleton.
West Hazleton. He has that English accent. George, nice to see you. Okay. All right, let's go back here, Adam. You come in with your company, and not only are you providing jobs that are affecting thousands upon thousands of people. Well, let's talk about your whole outlook here with Atlantic Carbon first of all, and then let's move into how George gets involved with the Atlantic Carbon, because we're a lot of new viewers here that we're showing here in southern Philadelphia and western Pennsylvania. So Adam, tell me about Atlantic Carbon.
Well, Atlantic Carbon, really, the growth of anthracite in its uses and applications in the steel industry and the carbon industry, we saw an opportunity to bring modern mining methods to a years-old industry that Pennsylvania was really built on, anthracite mining. So as you can see behind us, we bought new equipment and we went to mine some of the previously mined sites that had been mined in an old dragline way and had been abandoned. So we really our company position is to go and find old mines that have been abandoned, put new equipment on them, create jobs, and take out the very valuable Pennsylvania anthracite, which, as I know I've said on your show before, we call it the caviar of coal. It's 88 to 92% carbon, virtually no ash, so it's completely different from bituminous.
That's always been the concern, you know, from people watching the show, and when you talk about coal, there's all these concepts, as we discussed many times. But when you said modernization, what did you mean by that? So
the different methods. Instead of ripping up the land with a big drag line that blasts down 100 foot and then rips up the land and then moves on and doesn't reclaim it, the modern mining method is to use brand new 2017, 2018 modern machinery, whether it's Caterpillar or Komatsu. It's like a scalpel versus a bludgeon, and we go through, and then we mine and reclaim as we go. So our methods is to have a moving mine, which is different from before. So the mine, as you mine here, you reclaim behind you like a tank. It moves forward, and you're mining behind you. The other thing is, of course, we're mining previously mined land. So where that has just been left and abandoned, and you've got stripping pools, and it's dangerous and disaster, we're taking out all those pools, because we blast down to the land, we fill the holes back in, and then we turn the land back into land bank. We seed it. The topography is as it was before, so the land returns to land bank. The taxpayer doesn't have to do that. We take out a very valuable mineral, providing jobs, and then hopefully there's a few dollars in it for us, and that provides profit, and there's a multiplier effect for the economy.
And folks, so you mentioned about when they mine and then they go back. I would like you just to look over my shoulder here, and you'll see what he's talking about. Now, you can see the greenery coming in, and you can see the fact that there's going to be trees and there'll be animals running around as nature should be. And this would never have happened if we wouldn't have companies like Atlantic Carbon, Congressman Barletta, Senator Yudichak, Representative C.O.O working together, and we'll talk to them a little later. But this is the great thing. we would have had eyesores, and this again is what people envision sometimes, you know, the mines and the big holes, etc. And this is what you guys are doing, and you have another place which we went down into the area that you refilled, and there's trees.
You did, yeah. You Gowan. We you took photos there where that's back completely back into land bank now. Just has to wait. I think it's 7 more years for the land to settle.
Now, the interesting thing, George, you know, you're involved with Hazelton Shaft. Okay, yeah. Now we're here in Jeansville, and for those people in the area know where Jeansville is. The mine fire was, from what I understand, started 40 years ago. So, how did you get involved with Atlantic Carbon and start working on this project?
Well, back in, I guess it was probably before 2012, it might have been 2011, Hazelton Shaft was looking for an additional mine site. We finally came across this area. We negotiated with the local landowner, Pignotti Enterprises, and came in and started mining. Based on previous mine maps, we looked at where mining had left off years ago. We came in, we had to move a lot of mobile equipment in. We spent about $6 or $7 million in development costs. Found where the old high wall was. When you mine, if there's a pit, there's a straight wall of rock. We located that and we started to mine. When we went to drill our first set of holes to do some blasting, we noticed some warm temperatures. We thought it was kind of odd, but we didn't think anything of it. After we fired that shot and we drilled another pattern, we discovered that the holes were extremely hot. And at that point in time, we notified DEP, we notified MSHA, which is Mine Safety Health Administration, another arm of safety other than OSHA, which people may be familiar with. Had them come in, look at it. Everyone didn't seem to be concerned about it. As we continued to go further, the temperatures just got to be very, very hot. Temperatures in the holes 300 to 800 degrees Fahrenheit. At one point in time, we still couldn't get any assistance. Finally, it got to the point when coal is burning in the ground, as people from this area that have burned coal in years in a potbelly stove or a stove, when you would bank the fire at night, you'd throw coal in on hot coals, and you'd see a little blue flame come up. Well, that was coal gas that was burning. And what actually ended up happening, we started seeing heat vapor coming up from the ground, and it looked hot. But actually at night, it was a blue flame that was probably 4 to 5 feet high burning. If someone would have walked through that area, they'd have been burned alive.
Wow.
So at that point in time, we contacted, as you said, Congressman Barletta, Senator Yudichak, and Representative Tartuhill. You know, they got involved and they kind of brought people to the table, at least got abandoned mine lands involved, got DEP from Pottsville involved, to come up with the plan, like, we have to do something here in a hurry. And basically, you know, without their help, you know, we wouldn't have got started. When they did see the severity of it, you know, there was an emergency contract that was let out that we had a bid on. We were low bidder. We were probably, you know, $5 to $6 million lower than the next bidder because we were already on the mine site. You know, unfortunately, the one thing that we did find out was that because we already had the area bonded and permitted, we couldn't get any help or assistance to fight the fire on the side that was on the permit. So as a result, Atlantic Carbon over the last couple of years has spent about $6 million additional to fight the fire on our side. And if you were to look out in the distance, you'll see where the clay is lined. Everything where the clay is, we got that under contract. The fire was actually larger on the other side that we had out and at our own expense.
So here's the concern, okay? Let's assume, okay, that they did not get involved, all right, and you could not have the resources to do what you have. They don't have Atlantic Carbon and Atom and people that in the coal industry. What kind of danger would this have been to the city of Hazelton? Okay, we're talking about the city of Hazelton now, okay? This is the thing that really gets me nervous. Okay.
Well, the one thing that people don't realize is that the coal that's burning underground, it's not like it's some huge infernal fire. It's smoldering and burning as it's going. But as it's doing that, it's emitting off gases that are hazardous. I mean, carbon monoxide that you're getting. So just like you had the town of Centralia that was evacuated, eventually those coal seams would keep on smoldering and burning and make their way into Junedale, Tresco, possibly Hazelton and other areas.
Because
And
there's a coal mine under Hazelton.
there's
coal seam
there's
under
coal seam.
Hazelton.
well, all the coal seams have been deep mined at one point. So you have tunnels that are there that are providing air supply
Oh, okay.
that allows it to keep on burning,
Yeah.
and also allows not only to burn, depending on which way the draft is, will allow those harmful gases to come up wherever.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the one bank in Hazelton, Marco Bank, it's supposed to be coal right underneath the building.
That's the scary part. You know, it's interesting because we're going to talk to Congressman Barletta and Senator Yudichak. Tara unfortunately couldn't make it, but you know, when you talk about politics and you talk about bipartisan working, okay, here is the classic example of how it should be done. Okay,
Absolutely.
You have three great people that work together, okay, for the betterment of people in the community. It's not selfish on their part. That's the thing I like about good politics, you know, and I gotta really compliment them for working that way. Did you find that with working with them?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you know, I know it's always a political thing, but you know, we talk about coal and how very important it was, and fortunately, again, it's the fact that if we didn't have President Trump, okay, I don't know where you guys would be today, okay. And again, it's a fact. I know some people get a little excited when you talk, but we mentioned on the show, if Trump would not have won, we would have lost thousands of jobs. Things like this wouldn't happen. Am I correct in saying that?
You are, yes,
Not
especially in
only
the
that,
coal
Sam,
mining industry.
If you look behind at the landscape, you'll see all these pits and holes.
Yeah.
Because we're mining today with full cost bonding, that's going to all be reclaimed at no expense to the taxpayer.
Yeah.
So you're eliminating hazards out there, and
Big
you're
time.
bringing the ground back to where, you know, we can
Big time.
hold habitat, okay, and eventually be built on.
Well, you know, the last time we did a show, and this is for people who are just watching us here in some parts of the state of Pennsylvania, I got a tremendous response from people who emailed me, and were so thankful. You know, they had their fathers work in the mine, and they had all that, and they were very thankful to you, Adam, and to you, George, what you've done here, okay, and able to bring mining back to where it was, okay, and you just said it. It's a whole different ball game than it was before. Congratulations,
Thanks,
Adam.
Sam. Always nice to see you.
I wish you the best, George. It's always nice seeing you,
you,
okay? Providing a lot of jobs and making a lot of families happy, and that's fantastic, okay? Appreciate it. Folks, I'm up here in Jeansville, Pennsylvania. We talked about this is a great day for Pennsylvania. The mine fire's out and saved you millions of dollars. Now, to have that happen, yes, we need politicians. And a friend of mine said many years ago, good politicians make for good government. And that's what we're seeing here today. We're seeing good government. We can come back, we'll talk to Congressman Lou Barletta, and then we'll talk to Senator John Yudichak and see how working together is so very important. Not only here in the state of Pennsylvania, but hopefully in the entire United States. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. Remember, 24/7, you can watch all of the shows we produce here in Greater Hazelton on SSP TV, Samson Productions. And here's some good news, folks. For those of you who do not have cable, well, you should have cable, but if you don't, just download YouTube and subscribe to SSP TV, and you can watch all these shows all over the world, as well as our app, okay? We're here in Jeansville, Pennsylvania, and it's a great day for Pennsylvania because here in Jeansville, there was a mine fire. And it's completely out now. It would have cost millions upon millions of dollars to have it put out, and it would have also been devastating for the surrounding areas. But for this to happen, we had Atlantic Carbon. We just interviewed Adam Wilson, who is the CEO, and George Roskos, who is the COO, and they talked about what they're doing in mining today. But it had to happen through cooperation. And they came to Congressman Lou Barletta. And Lou, let's go back a little bit as to what was the transpiring like? What happened?
So in 2012, this fire has been burning for nearly 40 years. And in 2012, because it was Hazelton Shaft Atlantic Carbon had been mining here, they discovered this mine fire in 2012. I was contacted in 2014 after they were basically turned away from any kind of help where they were trying to handle this fire themselves, then contacted me, letting me know that this fire was much bigger than what they could handle, and they believed it was much further than where they were mining. I worked with Senator John Yudichak and Representative Tara Toohill in 2015. We got together and brought some officials here to the site, held a meeting here, and were instrumental in getting a $9 million grant for Atlantic Carbon, who was a low bidder on the contract to begin to tackle this fire. For us, the public safety threat was pretty clear. The entire region here, Greater Hazleton area, could have been impacted. We all know too well what happened to Centralia. Some of these coal seams go under the city of Hazleton, as well as Tresco and Beaver Meadows and surrounding areas. So we're very grateful that the Atlantic Carbon was here mining, because had they not, who knows what would have happened.
You personally live around 3 or 4 miles from here, okay? And so you've been, you're a city councilman, when was it, 1998?
Yep.
Okay. So you've been very much involved with, what's happening in the community and seeing things develop. I mentioned before, okay, and I said it's a great day for Pennsylvania, because here we could have had something that could have been very devastating, okay? And I don't think people sometimes, it's not all talk, it's actually fact, okay? As George says, there's seams going to different areas, okay? With that being said, okay, and we're talking about the coal industry today, and I know you're running for Senate, but I don't want to be political, but the point is, the thing that gets me a little nervous, Lou, is you've been on supporting coal from day one, okay? If Trump would not have won, okay, the election, this is just one of many things that happened, what do you think would have happened here?
Well, I know what would have happened, because it was happening already around the state of Pennsylvania. They were shutting down the coal mines. When Hillary Clinton said that, we were going to shut down these coal mines and these jobs, would go away, that's exactly what was happening. Many of them were literally hanging on by a thread until President Trump was elected. And coal, Sam, has, the future of coal is not the future of coal that we grew up in.
Exactly.
It's used for manufacturing.
Yeah, big time.
When we talk about jobs here, bringing jobs here to northeastern Pennsylvania, we are sitting on a gold mine. There are 19 rare earth minerals, 19 minerals that we need for our missile defense systems, for our computers, for our cell phones. We have found that these 19 minerals exist in the anthracite coal piles. If we can find a way to extract them, we buy 100% of them from China. China sells 85% to the world. This area literally could be a gold mine for manufacturing, for good paying jobs, and it's an environmental cleanup. And I mean, look at the green grass growing.
Which is fabulous.
There's no way, nobody was going to come in and reclaim these mine lands unless we were actively mining.
Remember when we were young, we were playing the strip-ins, okay, and we'd see these ugly holes, okay, and when you see this, it's so gratifying. Well, I only mention that only because, sometimes people, understand the importance, I guess, of why it's, we have a great opportunity here. But working with you and working with Yudichak and Tara Toohill, we're able to, I see this bipartisan thing working, and I mentioned before, isn't it great if we could, work together instead of have agendas?
That's what people expect, and that's what they want, and and working with someone who's like-minded, it makes it so easy, and actually the area benefits because we can work it from both sides of the aisle, which brings help, as we saw happen here. Working together we've proven it over and over again, and hopefully it would be an example for others to follow.
Yeah, well, it's a great thing, and I guess the big thanks to you and for doing what you're doing, folks. I'm talking to Congressman Lou Barletta, working together, folks, and getting a lot of great things done. It's a great day for Pennsylvania. We come back, we'll talk to Senator John Yudichak and have his input as to why this is such a great thing. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. Remember, 24/7 SSPTV.com. You can watch all of the shows. My email is sam@SSPTV. gmail.com, and if you have any comments, please email me. I do respond to my emails. But remember, for those of you who have friends all over the state of Pennsylvania or whatever, you can watch all of our shows. You just download YouTube and subscribe to SSP TV, and you can watch all of our shows. Okay, so we're here in Jeansville, Pennsylvania, Atlantic Carbon. It's a great day because they put out a mine fire that could have been very critical to the state of Pennsylvania and going to cost you millions upon millions of dollars in taxpayers' money. But for that to happen, you had to work with our politicians, and thank God we have some great politicians. Standing next to me is Senator John Yudichak. And John, thanks for coming up here. Doesn't this make you feel good?
It's tremendous. Growing up in the shadow of the Avondale mine disaster, a reclamation project that we were able to achieve over the last few years. As you grow up there, as you live there, as you own property there, you're always worried. If the mine seam catches fire, what happens to my property value? What happens to my quality of life? So when we were called to action by Banks Township Supervisor Joe Clark, and reached out to Representative Toohill, myself, and Congressman Barletta, we were able to understand very quickly, having grown up here, that this was a serious, serious problem. It could spread into the city of Hazleton, it could spread into Carbon County or into Schuylkill County, so we wanted to have all hands on deck. DEP was extraordinarily responsive, but I have to highlight that if we didn't have a private partner, a private sector partner in Atlantic Carbon, we would not have been able to attack this problem as quickly and as efficiently as we have done. I mean, to extinguish it in 3 years, they were looking at a 5-year window. They were looking at, if it went a different way, potentially $14-15 million. We're going to do it less than $9 million. That's all because of Atlantic Carbon, their expertise, and they were on site in an active mine, and be able to continue to active mine and put out the fire and do this remarkable reclamation work.
How was it difficult to get the grant in Congress in the state of Pennsylvania?
That pot of resources that the Office of Surface Mining at the federal level continues to decline for Pennsylvania. So that was very difficult. Congressman Barletta deserves a lot of credit stepping up and securing that through DEP. It goes through the Office, Bureau of Abandoned Mine Reclamation at DEP. So working together, state and federal, and working with local communities, this really was bipartisan, multiple levels of government, pulling that all together and recognizing that we didn't want to have another Centralia. We didn't want to have a disaster. This could have been catastrophic, not only for the residents, but of course the businesses here in northeastern Pennsylvania. So DEP deserves a lot of credit. Atlantic Carbon, all the elected officials that were involved at all levels deserve a great deal of credit for responding so quickly and so efficiently in terminating this mine fire here in Jeansville.
Do you have difficulty in having them understand what we have in terms of coal, or do they understand?
There's a national conversation on coal that you see reflected in some regions of Pennsylvania. So it is a challenge for me, representing the coal regions in northeastern Pennsylvania, to go and say, look, we need to do the reclamation work. I remember having this conversation 20 years ago when I was first elected, and say, look, we need to reclaim all the acreage of the blue coal lands, 19,000 acres that were abandoned coal lands, degraded lands. It's our access point to Interstate 81 and the South Valley Corridor. And folks said, well, have the mine companies do that. I said, they fundamentally misunderstood. Those mine companies are long gone. Yeah. Now it's the responsibility of the taxpayers. If we didn't have the Earth Conservancy, if we didn't have private sector companies like Atlantic Carbon, 300 acres of reclamation by Atlantic Carbon here in Greater Hazleton alone, $6 million that would have cost the taxpayers. Yes. It would have cost the taxpayers tens of millions of dollars in the South Valley Corridor. And you know what's happened since the Earth Conservancy's coming in? We've reclaimed that mine land. We have a new infrastructure project, South Valley Parkway, and we've created over 3,000 new jobs. We could recover this land. We could reclaim this land. We can do it, and you can do it efficiently by having private sector companies like Atlantic Carbon coming in, good quality jobs. Got over 90 jobs on this site. Just here. That's half. That's more than half of all of the mining jobs in Luzerne County. More than half. And they're $65,000 a year, $75,000 a year. Good quality jobs. You can do it right. You can follow the rules. You can make sure the air quality is good and the quality of life is good. And I think the Jeansville mine fire in this episode proves that you can have a private sector mining company and they can do the right thing, and Atlantic Carbon did the right thing.
Before I close, we're talking about miners, who worked in the mines. The benefit to them, that the fact that the coal industry is still going, because from what I understand, every ton Those residuals go back into pensions and stuff like that. Is that the way it works?
Correct. And the $9.3 million that's all comes from fees on existing mines in other states that we're able to bring back to Pennsylvania. So those active mines make sure that we can reclaim our land. That's very important, because if I can't reclaim this land, I can't bring in new jobs. And so reclamation goes hand in hand here in northeastern Pennsylvania with new jobs.
Well, like I said, it's a great day in Pennsylvania.
It's a great day.
Yeah, and I know you're thrilled about it, because I'm talking to Senator John Yudichak, very instrumental in having this happen. Folks, as I showed you, here it is. This is what they've been doing. It's not like in the old days. They're reclaiming, they're planting grass. In some areas you see the deer and all the animals. It's just a great opportunity. So for those of you who are doubting Thomas's about coal, we're hoping to educate you a little bit. Once again, you can watch this show anywhere in the world. It's ssptv.com. Download YouTube and search SSP TV and you can watch all of our shows. Thanks for being with us.